She's going to tell you exactly how you can do that. Plus, they also offer financial aid. How you doing, Shari?
I'm doing well. How are you?
You know, it's always a pleasure having you on the show.
I love being here.
You know, Shari's also one of my original ladies, Charmaine and girlfriends. She's also really good with hot topics. She's really gifted. God has really blessed her in so many different areas. But like I said, she's one of the co-owners of Mixed Institute of Cosmetology and Barbering. And she and her sister also co-owns a salon called Dream Girls, which is located in Los Angeles and here in Sacramento. So she's very well versed. So she knows what she's talking about. She knows her stuff. So if you're looking for qualified teachers and you want to learn about the beauty industry in hair, well, Mixed Institute of Cosmetology and Barbering is the place to be. So
their commitment to hometowns nationwide is called the 100 Hometowns Grant Program. And one of these projects is right here in our town, where Lowe's is helping repair and renovate the South Sacramento Clothes Closet. South Sacramento's Clothes Closet is an awesome resource in our community that works in conjunction with a food pantry and provides access to used clothing that hardworking people can use every day, sometimes even for that next job interview. So thank you to all the volunteers and to Lowe's.
For your Medi-Cal plan. With Anthem, your whole family is covered for no-cost doctor visits, plus hospital stays and prescriptions. The choice is easy. Get Anthem today at chooseanthem.com and get more from Medi-Cal. That's chooseanthem.com for your Medi-Cal health plan for no-cost doctor visits, plus hospital stays and prescriptions for your whole family. That's chooseanthem.com.
Okay. Actually, I think the horns are too much. Yeah, that's better. Big news. The new wireless outdoor security camera is here. Yes, Simply Safe's award-winning home security just got even better, taking whole home protection to a whole new level. Okay, I'm missing the horns. Simply Safe is celebrating this new camera with 30% off a new system this week. Visit simplysafe.com.
I know everything there is to know about running a coffee shop, but for small business insurance, I need my State Farm agent. They make sure my business stays piping hot, and I stay cool and confident. See, they're small business owners too, so they know how to help you best. State Farm is in your corner and on it. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You've heard about Tecate, but have you heard about Tecate Alta? Introducing new Tecate Alta, born without borders. A cerveza suprema with only 84 calories, 2.4 carbs, and Tecate's signature refreshing taste. New Tecate Alta, cerveza suprema, beyond expectation. Mexico is in us.
Bigger than loans and down payments, it's an oasis. A restaurant. A theater. It's home. At Golden One, we get it. Big or small, we work with you to reach your goals. And as a not-for-profit credit union, we'll help you find better loans and rates. So owning your home is more possible than ever. So join us. Let's make your dream home happen. Equal housing opportunity. NMLS number 6 concession. It's easy to complete all your dreams. But climate change and more frequent severe droughts are putting our water supply in danger. California is in the midst of a serious drought, and we can take action to help save water. Let's work together to make it last. To learn more about the changes you can make indoors and outdoors to conserve water, visit saveourwater.com.
Finding a great candidate can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Let's get rumble! Let's get ready to rumble! I hope it doesn't rain in California. My goodness. It feels like it's about to rain. It was so beautiful in Northern California, but now it's time to rain. I don't want it to rain. Let's get ready to rumble. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C Sports. This is Charlton of Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. Of course, there are a lot of people that love sports. All fair and level war. Today is a beautiful November the 8th, 2021. Ground of the Portes. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade. The standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, just tell them that Charlton Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars. Also, all around the world, you can follow Big C Sports on 17 podcast applications, as well as 4 TV applications. Now you can give that some praise. As I say, give that some praise. Nothing wrong with giving that praise. It's all fair and level war. You can find us on many applications from Google Podcast, Alexa Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, GeoSavan, out of London, England. Love the reach across the globe, across the pond, Podtail Podcast, Hubhopper, Stitcher, Radio Line, Luminary Podcast, and a lot of other podcasts all over the universe. Even more coming on the way. It's all fair and level war. You can also find us on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Really appreciate that. We want to boldly go where no man or woman has gone before. I love giving up my family legacy. And from my great-grandmother, called her Mama. She was actually the matriarch of the family, made sure everyone stuck together, and made sure everyone had food in the belly. My great-grandfather, Pop, former Negro League baseball player, also made the best moonshine in the history of the universe. Also well known for them. Boy, get out of that barn! all fair level word, boy, get out of that barn. And then my beautiful mother, she started a Head Start program in Northern California. Also helped our Little League baseball team win the championship of the universe. Love giving her praise, always saying rise and shine. Really do appreciate that. Mama always saying rise and shine. On my father's side, Grandpa Albert Curry was a pastor, started 2 churches. Also, he had 2 service stations in beautiful Oakland, California. My grandmother, Alberta Curry, she helped him with the service stations and also the churches. And rumor has it, she did most of the work. It's all fair level work. My father, retired Air Force fighter pilot and chief mechanic. Give us a praise. Give him praise, praise, praise. And my beautiful brother Todd. That's where I get my bombastic voice. Always said, boy, you talk so loud. It's all fair and level war. Really love bringing you a Big C Sports podcast. As I always say, let's get ready to rumble. Cameron Usman, he was rumbling. He and COVID in part 2. Usman, but probably the best fighter. He and Ngannou, the best fighters pound for pound in the universe. So I want to give Ngannou and also Usman, those 2 great Nigerian MMA fighters, proved his wealth again over the weekend in beautiful Madison Square Garden. But as I always say, let's get ready to rumble. I love bringing you a Big C Sports podcast. ESPY-nominated Big C Sports podcast. No scripts, no 3-way teleprompters, no producer in my ear. And I do my show. I love getting stats from my son Malcolm. He's all over the NBA. Really sent me some information that I really use on my shows. Also, my daughter Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the universe, helped me set up sporting events when coaches came to the West Coast. It's all fair and level where I say, let's give them some praise. And also Big C with his wealth of knowledge, all fair and level war. What I love about Big C Sports Podcast, I was standing out at not Candlestick Park, but Levi Stadium on Sunday, and I was surprised at how small Colt McCoy is. But he came on like a giant and helped the Cardinals beat the 49ers. It was 31-17, and he's only won 9 games as a starter. When you think about that, 9 games as a starter, but that good old boy showed why he's one of the best. You can call him a backup if you want to. The great L.O. Kuchar said, don't call him a backup, but he's a great player. Really appreciated seeing how that game was done over in San Francisco. The Cardinals are a very good team. Give the Cardinals some praise. And the 49ers, my goodness, Shanahan has some work cut out for him in that 49er football team. All fair and level war. But I produce the show. I direct all the topics. I broadcast the show. I do the sound effects. I do all the commercials. Excuse me, did I break your concentration? As I say, guess who's coming to dinner? It's all fair level war. It's what they say, the parents always saying, everything's all fine until somebody loses an eye. They don't really mean that. It's just something that parents say to kind of get your attention. Anyway, I want to say I do the stats providing storytelling, the play-by-play, where I go, touchdown, home run, three-point play, oh man, Willie, keep going all the way. Yeah, all the way to Las Vegas. The Raiders left. I thought they would lose in New York. Oh man, it's a shame how they go in those early time zones, kind of bite them in the backside. It's all fair and level up. But the New York crowd was on their feet, and the Giants got to win. And then I upload the show to 17 podcast applications all over the universe. Really appreciate that. Never missed a show since starting Big C Sports September 12th, 2015. And some of my favorite scriptures that I love quoting on Big C Sports is like Genesis 13:15, when God said, for all the land that thou seest will I give you. Give that some praise. And thy seed forever. In the book of James 42 said, you have not because you ask not. So if you want something, just ask. Really appreciate that. I love going into Levi Stadium and seeing Press Pass, Charleston Curry, Big C Sports. It's in fair in love and war, right next to ESPN or ABC Sports or Fox Sports. That's pretty amazing considering one shining moment, one black man doing his thing, and it's all fair in love and war, and things are growing leaps and bounds. Really appreciate God for that. You know what I also want to say when it comes to Big C Sports Podcast? They had the veterans, the military had a flyover at Levi Stadium in beautiful San Francisco, Santa Clara. Man, it sounded like a jet airplane that was taking off when the planes had to fly over. And if anyone's ever been in a stadium of 70,000 and you have jet planes flying over, there's an echo that comes through the stadium that you gotta be there. You gotta feel it to understand it. And so I really appreciate that. So give our military some praise. Give them praise. Love praising our United States military. And I love praising our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. It's the Veterans Crisis Hotline. And anytime somebody's going through an issue, just pick up the phone and call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net, and give our military veterans some praise and our first responders some praise. Give them praise. I think they give you praise faster than I talk. So that's all fair. Hey, I love talking fast. If you don't talk fast, then sometimes it takes too long for people to get the point across, and that's why I love talking fast. And I always want to make sure that when it comes to our military veterans, make sure they get some help. Also, I'm very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, Direct TV, AT&T Uverse TV of the formerly first place San Francisco Giants, as the crowds go nuts all over the sports world for sports. But our goal is simple. I want to get those media credentials again for NFL football, NBA basketball, Major League Baseball, college football and basketball, and it has the name Big C Sports. That's impressive because I started out 6 years ago and going strong, and to be nationally credentialed, not everybody can say that, especially one black man in the world where sometimes people try to push you away from opportunities that you should rightly have. Give that some praise. Give persistence some praise. Give persistence praise. Really, I love the persistence. Our goal is simple, really recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this country to help put their property listings back on television, just like McDonald's does it, car dealerships do it, sports teams do it, watch TV, and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. I was talking to a broker from Malibu, California, and he talked about, Malibu, California is a very wealthy part of the United States, right there on the ocean. So they get the tidal wave first. And he talked about the fact that they get the tidal wave and thunder and lightning. They get the thunder and lightning too, right there on the ocean. It's called beachfront property. You want a thunderstorm? Have a house in Malibu. He said Malibu's beautiful. Beverly Hills is nice too. But Malibu, when it rains and thunders and lightnings, it's right there. You get it first before the people in Beverly Hills. He talked about a $150,000 commission. Isn't that something? On one deal. Give that real estate broker some praise. Give $150,000. And you sold a house where when the thunders and lightnings, you get hit first. It's all fair. in Leavenworth. That's what I love about real estate, but I love working with brokers all across California and across the country, helping put their properties on television. A lot of people love that. 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. Most of the loans are underwritten by Rocket Mortgage and United Wholesale Mortgage. It's all fair and Leavenworth, as well as Equity Zone Mortgage. And then I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Go ahead, just like God said in Genesis 1:3, let there be light. Open your cell phones and say play Big C Sports Podcast, and you can see our apps pop up all over the world, and I really do appreciate that with Big C Sports. There's a lot of great things in the sports universe. I want to say thank you to Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol. It is 100% on this game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big games, you want to eat it with the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meat. Because exotic meats will make you light on your feet. I think I heard that right. If that makes sense to you, it's all fair and level work. We got a lot to talk about today on Big C Sports. A beautiful November the 8th, 2021 is all fair and level work. Give it some praise for anyone that loves the sports business. Sometimes I lose my voice when you're doing games and there's so many people around. And just being at beautiful Levi Stadium in San Francisco, Santa Clara, California, it's one of the most beautiful stadiums, I think, in NFL football. It's an open-air stadium. It's an outdoor stadium. It doesn't have that rustic feel that Candlestick had. I really love the Candlestick. Started doing games back there in 1996. And to see Levi Stadium, a little bit different environment. The crowd was a little bit more raucous, I would say, at the old Candlestick Park. It's a little bit more laid back, but there's still some people that do the bang bang night of game. They get really loud, so I want to give Levi Stadium some praise. Give it praise, praise, praise. Love Levi Stadium, beautiful San Francisco, Santa Clara, California. All spread the board. We're going to talk about some NFL football, NBA basketball, also some college sports, and what happened over the weekend. We're going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. And when we come back, we're going to talk about it in the words of the former California Governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 17 podcast applications all over the universe. Get that some praise. And 4 TV applications. Really do appreciate that with Big C Sports. You know, some college football, as we say, are you ready for some football? Of course you are. College football has its own saying, and it seems like every weekend we can look at teams that everyone can argue about who should be in the top 10 of college football, who should be in the top 4 of college football. And just like I was saying over the weekend, Michigan State has to watch out going on the road to Purdue. They just had that big win at home in East Lansing versus the Michigan Wolverines, and Purdue was right there ready to hand them an upset. And those things happen when you play conference opponents. But Mel Tucker said, listen, it's one game, and we got to figure out how to get back on our feet for the next week. And that's what it is. You got to bounce back. And if you don't bounce back, then you can get bounced out as all fair level. Or Wake Forest, I said, they would lose to North Carolina. And they lost to North Carolina. So at least I got 2 games right, if that makes sense. If you can't get them all right, at least get 2 right. It gives me some credibility. I got some credibility. $150,000 commission on a house in Malibu. That's some good people making a lot of bank down in Southern California on the oceans, all fair and Leavenworth. I want to run down just some of the things that happen in college football. Army, I love paying homage to our Naval Academy and the military academies. We have Army 21, Air Force 14 in overtime. So congratulations for the military schools. We have number 1 Georgia 43-6 over Missouri. They made that easy. I think Georgia was behind 3-0. Believe that or not, they were behind in a game this year, 3-0. Number 5 Ohio State. It was a little bit closer than the score, 26-17 over Nebraska. And when you think about North Carolina with that big win over number 9 Wake Forest, it was 58-55, kind of like a basketball score. And then I also look at a big game. I talked about it already, but you think about Purdue with the win over Michigan State, which was ranked number 3 at the time. It was 40-29, and that was a closer game than the score. But Michigan State just really never rebounded from what happened with the win over Michigan. Cincinnati with a 28-20 win over Tulsa. That's nothing to write home about. People argue whether they should be in the top 3. You beat Tulsa 28-20. Now, UC Davis, which is the FCS, they beat Tulsa earlier in the season. Okay? That's just a thought. And they beat them almost as convincingly as Cincinnati did. So you can Google that if you want to make sure who UC Davis is, the Aggies. Now, Notre Dame 34-6 over Navy. Oklahoma State, actually Notre Dame is number 10 ranked. Cincinnati is number 6 ranked. And we know Cincinnati beat Notre Dame early in the year. But Notre Dame 34-6 over Navy. Number 11, Oklahoma State 24-3 over West Virginia. And then a big game that was a lot closer than the score. I mean, it was 30-28. Number 12, Baylor, they fall to TCU. It was 30-28. What a game. Baylor was right there in the driver's seat of the Big 12 Conference. TCU got rid of their coach, but their players, they stood up. So I want to give the players that stuck it out and made sure that they played hard. TCU, give TCU players some praise, knocking off Baylor in a game that could have folded their tent. Number 2, Alabama. What a game. People can talk about the UCLA and the LSU score. It was UCLA 38, LSU 27. That was way back in September. And people say, well, LSU's down. Oh, LSU's not the team they used to be. This is not the same team that won the national championship. UCLA 38, LSU 27. It could have been 50-27. Now, people say, well, the Pac-12 is not that tough. LSU's a down season. Number 2, Alabama 20, LSU 14. Give the Alabama team some praise. And LSU should have won that game. Oh, the SEC's down this year. Is Alabama down? Why is it when UCLA beats LSU out of the SEC 38-27, could have been 50-27? People say, well, LSU's down. The Pac-12's not that good. I just say the conference is a lot more balanced than people give it credit. Because that same Alabama team, the Alabama Crimson Tide, they had to hold on for a 20-14 win over LSU, and that was at home. Okay, so all the talk about the Pac-12 doesn't play good football. LSU played UCLA at the Rose Bowl. They lost 38-27. They played Alabama at Bryant-Denny Stadium. They lost 20-14. Numbers don't lie. Everybody has their own opinion. Number 4, Oregon, and some people call Oregon right now at numbers between 2 and 4, 26-16 over Washington. Could have been worse than that, but something happened at the end. They called back a touchdown. But that was a big win for the Huskies at home, and Oregon has always had a tough time going up to Washington and playing. A lot of these kids play each other. They all get recruited out of Southern California for the most part. Half of the rosters do. But Oregon to go up there in the rain in the Pacific Northwest and get a 26-16 win over the Washington Huskies. And that game was sponsored by the Big C Burger, a tasty burger at the Cuspid. What's all this exotic meat? Up in the rain, no thunder, but the rain was up there at Husky Stadium. And you got to give the Oregon Ducks, quack, 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 some praise, all fair level work. Number 7, Michigan, 29, Indiana 7. So they got back on the winning side of things. I know it was a tough loss for them when they lost to Michigan State. All's fair in love and war. And more with the SEC. The SEC survives. Tennessee 45, number 18, Kentucky 42. These are SEC schools giving up 42 points in a loss, and another gave up 45 points. Or they scored 45 points to win. So there's a lot of high scoring for a team in a conference that's known for defense. When you think about it, it's a game that goes for the Vols, even after Kentucky converted a 4th and 24 in the final series. Kind of a miracle play. Then the Wildcats, they were hit with a 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty. And it doesn't make any sense. Mark Stoops arguing the face mask penalty should have been called. But at the end, you got to think about Kentucky. Couldn't quite get it done and give Tennessee that win. Number 22, Iowa. At one time, Iowa was number 2 in the country. I think that was about 3 weeks ago. Look at how far they've fallen. Iowa ranked number 22, 17-12 over Northwestern. And you know what? It was an interception that sealed the victory for Iowa just against Northwestern. The Wildcats, give them credit. They fought back from a 14-0 deficit, having the ball in the final 2 minutes with a chance to take the lead. But give Iowa credit. But I know they have to be really kicking themselves because they were number 2 in the country just about 3 weeks ago. And going back to the Alabama and LSU game, LSU's also saying they're going to get rid of their coach, but they fought hard against Alabama. I give them a lot of credit for those players hanging in there. when you think about it, Alabama survived a 20-14 win over LSU. LSU was blown out by UCLA 38-27 at the Rose Bowl in September. So despite generating just 6 net yards on the ground, even when you factor in 22 yards lost on Bryant Young's sack, it was still, as people might want to say, a defensive game. I think Alabama showed that they can win a close game and a game going away. But this is a team also, you got to realize they took the best shot from LSU. And these are college football players, no matter how good they are. You want to crown them, the late, great Dennis Green. But Alabama finished with 308 total yards, and they remain number 2 because a lot of other teams around them have fallen. But it's all fair and level war. I love college football. You can almost talk about, no matter where you are. I look at what happened in the Boise State-Fresno State game. Fresno State came in ranked between 23 and 25th in the country. Boise State came in there with a 4-4 record. Fresno State, they had only lost to Oregon and then Hawaii, which is an upset loss. But a big win for Boise. The Broncos season extremes continue. This is a team that missed a field goal and lost to Oklahoma State at home. Oklahoma State up there in the top of the Big 12. They improved to 5-4 and have wins over ranked teams. BYU, Boise State knocked off BYU on the road a couple of weeks ago. Now they knocked off Fresno State 40-14 just over the weekend. And when you think about it, Boise State is up 32-7 in a 7-yard touchdown run that actually had them stretch the league. Fresno State, think about this, almost beat Oregon. They beat UCLA, and then they lost to Hawaii. That had gotten blown out by UCLA. So the Mountain West is a lot of parity in the Mountain West Conference, but that was a big win for Boise State to go into Fresno and beat the Bulldogs in front of a packed house. But that's just how it goes. That's how the play goes. All fair and level work. I want to look at a big play that happened in the Oregon-Washington game. Washington goes 3 and out on his first series of the second half, and then Oregon strikes quick with a 6-play, 7-yard touchdown drive that took a 17-9 lead. And that was think about the drive was 5 Travis Dye runs. I know they lost their top running back, Varner, when he got injured in the game versus Stanford, but this Oregon team can play good football. They can win on the rain, whether it's raining, whether it's cold or sunshine. So the Oregon Ducks, they pull away on the road in a day when number 3 Michigan State lost, and number 2 Alabama had to hang on and beat LSU 20-14. So much talk about the Pac-12 doesn't play good football. And then Utah, out of that Pac-12, they put it on Stanford on the farm on Friday night, and I think that was 56 to, I know they scored 56 points. Don't recall the final score by Stanford, but I think it was like 56-9, somewhere in there. It's all fair and level war. I love what's going on with college football. I love the fact that people say we don't need to expand the bowl. Yes, you do. On any given Saturday, teams can lose or win a game. It's any given Saturday. That's why we got to have the expansion of the bowl games. And it's going to help whether it's thunder or lightning. I think the crowds all over this country are going to clamor for expansion of the bowls that's going to happen. It's all fair and level war. For the Fresno State-Boise State game, it seems like the team on the road has been winning these games of late. It's all fair and level war. South Florida, 28-26 over Houston. That's another game that people are looking at, as these teams year in and year out will have teams that can challenge for an outside shot of the bowl game. South Carolina 30, Florida 10. Who would have thought that? South Carolina 30, Florida Bulldogs 10. Dan Mullins officially on the hot seat as Florida put together one of his most embarrassing halves of college football this season to lowly South Carolina. Think about that. Florida's not lost by double digits against an unranked opponent since the first year of the Mullen era. So he's on the hot seat also. But it's just college football. It's the way the ball bounces. And that's why we need a college football playoff system that will be expanded. And it's going to happen pretty soon, coming up soon. I got to just tell you, when you think about college football, you don't get much bigger than having people sit around the television wondering if their team's going to get in. And that's what I love about college football. But Cincinnati, number 6, they survived Tulsa. When you think about style points, Cincinnati didn't get them in this game. The Bearcats needed a late fumble in the end zone after fumbling the ball away themselves in the shadow of their own goalpost to escape with a 28-20 win over the Golden Hurricanes. And when I say golden hurricanes, thank goodness it wasn't lightning, but there were some golden hurricanes, and they escaped with a win. All fair and let them work. Nobody can say we don't need to expand the balls. We need to expand them. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When I come back, we're going to talk about some NFL football and some NFL football as well as NBA basketball. We'll take the Big C pause. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 17 podcast applications all over the universe. Really appreciate that. And 4 TV applications. This segment is also sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with all this exotic meat. Really do appreciate the exotic meats on the Big C Burger. You know, I love NFL football. Are you ready for some football? Of course you are. Man, what some great games we had over the weekend and some blowouts on week 9. When you think about, there were some lopsided wins, and people continue to wonder how much is it live or memory. This is why I don't bet on football. A few highlights. Josh Allen was too much for Josh Allen. You can Google that if that makes sense to you. The Broncos embarrassed the Cowboys at home. How about them Cowboys? The Patriots, they picked Sam Darnold off 3 times. And there are a lot of people saying that Sam Darnold is a top-flight NFL quarterback, and Cam Newton still can't get a job. That's crazy. And then the Browns, they beat the Broncos. I guess Odell Beckham, you know, a lot of people like him, a lot of athletes like him, but maybe just not the best fit chemistry-wise with the Cleveland Browns. They got a blowout win over Cincinnati once Beckham gets out of town. Maybe he could play golf. It's all fair and love and war. But you think about it, the NFL, I'm just going to run down some scores real quick because a lot of people were shocked by what happened in these games. The Rams, they fell at home to the Tennessee Titans on Sunday night. But it started, when you think about it, this is a football season that you really can't predict who's going to win anything. You just don't know. I mean, you just look, Cleveland, this is for you. Cleveland 41, Cincinnati 16. And Cincinnati were the darling of the NFL universe. Just a couple of weeks ago, they've lost to the Jets, and now they've been thumped by the Cleveland Browns. So Cleveland's back on top of the saddle. Denver going into Dallas and beating the Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? It was Denver 30. Dallas got 16 points in mop-up time. They were just out of sync. Why they had Dak Prescott in the game, late in the game, I have no idea. They're trying to get him hurt again. I don't know. Miami 17, Houston 9, so Miami gets another win. The Atlanta Falcons went into New Orleans, and they shocked the New Orleans Saints. Who that say they're going to beat them Saints? Well, the Atlanta Falcons went in there. Maybe they were motivated by the Atlanta Braves winning a World Series and saw what it was like to just give that extra effort. But I was surprised to see New Orleans fall at home. Taysom Hill, this thought about, I know Jameis Winston's out, but why not bring in Cam Newton and give him a chance to give your offense a different look? Anyway, that's Peyton's decide if he wants to do that or not. But the Giants, the New York Giants, get a win over the Las Vegas Raiders, which went in and turned the ball over enough to give the New York Giants, the lowly New York Giants, a 23-16 win on the road. It wasn't an early game, and the Raiders had, with the Henry Ruggs III, all the calamity that went on with him in the car accident. I mean, that's probably still on their minds more than they would want to admit it, even though people say, hey, you got to block it out. They're human. The New England Patriots look really good, and I was shocked by this one. I thought Carolina, with that top 10 run defense, would be a difference. But then Sam Darnold forgot what team he was throwing the ball to. New England and Bill Belichick going there with that Jedi mindset with the 24-6 win over Carolina. Jacksonville with a baseball win over the Buffalo Bills. Who would have thought the Bills would only get 6 points? And it's sponsored by the Big C Burger. It's a tasty burger. And that game was sponsored by what's all those exotic meats? The Big C Burgers and all they have exotic meats that they were getting Buck Wild and Jacksonville. All fair and love and war, but really, anyone call that game? Anyone call that game? No one called that game for the Buffalo Bills to fall 9-6. If they lost 29-26, one thing. But 9-6 with that offense, that's a shocker. Baltimore Ravens, tell me Lamar Jackson's not the NFL MVP. I don't want to hear it. I was going to say he or Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers disappointed a lot of people in not being forthcoming, telling the truth about whether they had a COVID vaccine or not. everybody gets immunized when they're babies. Maybe that's what he was talking about. Got to expect more from people. Baltimore 34, Minnesota. You like that? You like that? 31 in overtime. Lamar Jackson, Superman. He's amazing. Chargers went across the road, across the country, and got a 27-23 win with a field goal over the Philadelphia Eagles. So the Lightning Bolts, you got to get the Lightning Bolts. If I can get my producer on time, the Lightning Bolts got over the Philly, got to win. They may have heard some bad words too, but they did get a win. The Lightning Bolts went into Philly and got a win. And then Kansas City, what happened to their offense? 13-7 over Green Bay on Jordan Love. Played okay. Didn't play the best game, but he played okay. But Kansas City, they got to get a tune-up. 13-7. That's all. And then being in San Francisco for the game with the Arizona Cardinals in a 31-17 win over the 49ers. No one expected that. That's a game that Shanahan obviously is going to be on the hot seat in San Francisco. I think they've lost 8 in a row at Levi Stadium. You can't have that. I mean, that's a team that they needed to win, and at home, packed house, even had Jerry Rice running up and down the field, but to fall 31-17 at home, and then they also had a couple of bad penalties. They retired. Actually, they inducted into the Hall of Fame. They had a player, Bryant Young, so congratulations to Bryant Young being inducted into the Hall of Fame. They even had Jerry Rice run a pass route before the game started to get the crowd hyped up. But a big win by Arizona. That's an impressive football team. Tennessee Titans going to Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium, and they get a 28-16 win over the Los Angeles Rams that were playing like they were one of the best teams in the NFL, and maybe they still are. So give all the teams that won over the weekend some praise. Give them praise. And the Big C Burger is a tasty burger, and it comes with all those exciting teams. They all get the Big C Burger. They all get it, and they know they love it too. But what I love about NFL football is no one, I can't say no one, but there were a lot of people who were shocked by the number of upset games that happened in the NFL. We have the Chicago Bears playing at Pittsburgh tonight. It's going to go with Pittsburgh not being upset in that one. But when you think about it, you have the Falcons and the Saints. Cordell Patterson may have inadvertently provided that the 2021 Falcons, with their nickname, is fitting considering he's to do everything for the team. This team, the Falcons, they are 4-4. Watch the New Orleans erase an 18-point lead in less than 7 minutes. Remind me of that Super Bowl where they let the Patriots come back. But think about it. In the fourth quarter before, they rallied to salvage a 27-25 win over the Saints on a 29-yard field goal that sailed through the uprights as time expired. So give the Atlanta Falcons some praise for going on the road in that stadium and getting the win. Give them praise for coming back. But man, that had to make this fence pretty tight down in the beautiful city of Atlanta. Now, the Broncos, how did the Broncos go into Dallas and knock off? How about the Cowboys? When you think about it, the Broncos already came up with 1 fourth down stop early in Sunday's game as the Cowboys faced a 4th and 2 from the Denver 20-yard line on their second offensive drive. And they did not hesitate deciding that they should have gone for a PAT. But Dak Prescott's pass was hit to the ground, and it changed the direction of that game. You have, early in the game, you got a quarterback coming off of an injury. You have the crowd behind you. Why not kick the field goal? And it's easy to Monday morning quarterback Coach McCarthy, but kick the field goal, get the points. It's hard to come by in the NFL with points. But the Cowboys, those early go-for-it decisions, you can say 2 things about the Broncos. You can't stop us. Number 2, even if you do, you can't take advantage of it. So after an upset, 30-16, and it was an upset, I would call it an upset, 30-16 win at AT&T Stadium, a victory far more dominant than the final score indicated. Because the Broncos players and coaches, they made it clear how they felt about the strategy. It backfired. You got to go kick the field goal. That's why you have a kicker. But for the entire game, prior to the last half of the fourth quarter, it was dominated by the Denver Broncos. I mean, that was just an impressive way to go on the road and win for the Denver Broncos and touchdown Teddy Bridgewater. Didn't see that one coming at all. Neither did a lot of people in Vegas. It was a bad loss for the 49ers. I love Levi Stadium. I love that loud crowd. Bang, bang, Niner game is all fair in Leavenworth. But Shanahan's on the hot seat in San Francisco, whether they mention it or not, he handled it. But the loss by the 49ers on the short list, most embarrassing by a team this year, And I thought they were going to win it. They just came off of a big win in Chicago. No Kyler Murray. He was on the sideline. Has a bad ankle. No DeAndre Hopkins. He was on the sideline standing next to his coach. And they got a 437 yards of offense and 31 points on the 49ers defense. The Cardinals scored 5 times, 4 touchdowns, 1 field goal. On their first 6 offensive possessions, it was a great design game plan by Coach Cliff Kingsbury. And, I mean, the media in the Bay Area is saying that the 49ers were outcoached. They just don't handle the deep pass, but they look so good against Chicago. But these are 2 different animals, if that makes sense to you. The Cardinals are maybe, I mean, this is the same Cardinal team that went into Los Angeles and beat up the Rams. The same Cardinal team that took a miracle come-from-behind win, actually a goal line stand by Green Bay, to give them 1 loss. And talking to Colt McCoy at the end of the game in the press conference, he actually went to Texas and he complimented Kyler Murray, who went to Oklahoma. That's rare to happen. But he said that he learned a lot from Kyler Murray on how to prepare for a game. Just do your job. I was really impressed by the way Arizona came into San Francisco Levi Stadium and got a win. It's all fair and level war. And then the Chargers going across the country. There have been 6 chances, 6 opportunities for a quarterback completing at least 80% of his passes and throw for at least 300 yards in the game this season. And 2 have come against the Eagles. The 3, think about it. It was Derek Carr, the Raiders, and now Justin Herbert, both out of the AFC West. The Eagles, I thought if they run the ball more, they would have had a chance. And then maybe they tried to compete with the passing of Justin Herbert. It just shows you that quarterbacks that come out of the pack, I won't say the Pac-12 because you got Sam Darnold, but it's amazing how Herbert had a bad game against the New England Patriots just the week before. And then he goes across the country and gets the win over Philadelphia. Different defenses, but it was a great effort. Over 80% pass completion, 300 yards. That's a lot for Herbert. So it's all fair and level war. When people talk about who the MVP of the league is, I'm going to give this guy some praise right now. Give him praise. Give him praise, praise, praise. We cannot say that. We have Superman Lamar Jackson. The Ravens offense had 36 first downs on Sunday. The most for any team in the game this season. It tied for most of any team in the game over the last 5 seasons. Baltimore is now 4-1 and won score games this season. You know who their quarterback is? The 2021 NFL MVP, Superman Lamar Jackson. That's what I'm going to say. People can say Brady's not Brady. Brady can't do what Jackson does. Brady has all-star receivers. Jackson doesn't. And he's going to rush for 1,000 yards again this year and probably throw for over 3,500 yards. It's all fair and level war. And he's like, I won't say a one-man wrecking crew, but he's the reason that they win so much in Baltimore. And it says Superman Lamar Jackson. He's the real deal. He's must-see TV. And whether you watch it on TV or in the stands, I want to give him an early shot, at least the NFL MVP. Just a thought. Everybody has an opinion. Don't throw any stones. The perennial talk of MVP lives in Kansas City, Missouri. Signed a $540 million contract. His name is Touchdown Patrick Mahomes. He found Tyreek Hill with a 13-yard completion on 3rd down and 10. And they come away with a 13-7 win for the Chiefs Sunday afternoon at Arrowhead Stadium. Hey, a win is a win. You give them praise. Give them praise, praise, praise. But that was not a good win. It just wasn't. There was no Aaron Rodgers for Green Bay. Devontae Adams came back. But Kansas City 3rd down conversion allowed the Chiefs offense to run the clock and pick up his 5th win of the year. It was just the 2nd game of the Chiefs season without a turnover. With no turnovers, and they only scored 13 points, they got to get a tune-up. It's all fair and love and war. But Mahomes was 20 of 37, 166 yards on that touchdown. He has to go get a tune-up. All fair and love and war. I want to contrast that with what I saw in San Francisco. And I want to give the Arizona Cardinals some praise. You normally don't give a standing ovation for the visiting team. But they're a very good football team. See them first time up front. No Kyler Murray. No DeAndre Hopkins. The Cardinals did not skip a beat Sunday. They flew into San Francisco, got into Levi Stadium, and backup quarterback Colt McCoy in the running game, a 31-17 victory over the 49ers. I was talking to Colt McCoy after the game and asking him, you've been part of this team, really not expecting to ever play unless Kyler Murray goes down. He gave Kyler Murray the biggest compliment, and he says, all I want to do is do my job. That's only the 9th win as a starting quarterback for Colt McCoy in the NFL. I think he's the winningest quarterback at the University of Texas. But the NFL is a different breed of cat. But he no pun intended there, Bird. But he guided the Cardinals to a 31-17 victory over the 49ers. And just when I think they were up 17-0. So give the 49ers some praise for fighting back. The crowd at Levi Stadium is amazing. Even in the fourth quarter, they were still cheering. They were still cheering for the home team. But that Arizona team, I can see why they're only one loss in the season. So Arizona improved to 8-1. They dropped San Francisco to 3-5, becoming the first team to win his first 5 road games, each by at least 12 points. And I think that's since the 2005, the Indianapolis Colts did. Give them some praise. They deserve praise for that. By 12 points since 2005 Colts, that's amazing. So I really like what they can do in the playoffs. Jordan Love, first career touchdown pass. The Chiefs were going to, for the shutout, Jordan Love found a way to get his groove, find his groove in his first career start with a touchdown pass at the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm going to give Love some praise, give him some praise. A lot of people were all over him saying, well, he's no Aaron Rodgers. Well, of course, not many people are. But you got to give him some praise. And Kansas City, man, they got to get their defense back. It's all fair in love and war. You know, I want to jump to a game. Cleveland, this is for you. You know, the great LeBron James talked about that for the basketball team, but this Cleveland Browns team. This Cleveland Browns team, Cleveland, this is for you. You got to give them some credit. Because they were all the talk last week about not getting Odell Beckham the ball. They had to get him out of there. The chemistry wasn't working. When you think about it, on 70% of the plays, good things happen for the Browns when they set aside all the junk that happened with last week about Odell and Beckham needs the ball more. Well, go play golf. If you don't get the ball blocked. I saw Jerry Rice running through Levi Stadium before a kickoff. And when Jerry was the best receiver in the history of the NFL, when he wasn't getting the ball, he was blocking. So John Taylor could do his thing. Or Terrell Lawrence could do his thing. He wasn't going and yelling at Joe Montana or Steve Young. At least not the media. That's why they have Super Bowl rings. But in a must-win game Sunday that came at the end of a long, wild weekend, the Browns found a way to force some turnovers. They had a steady dose of Nick Chubb running that good old boy, running the ball. And then the Bengals just kind of wolfed it in the force of that ground game. I think Cleveland is not about how Baker Mayfield throws to his receivers, but can you get Nick Chubb 25 carries? That's what gets him going when he gets rumbling down the field. So Chubb did his thing, and the Browns had a lot of things. They did a lot of things well. And among them is they gave the ball to Chubb, and they let Chubb run it, and the Browns found a way to pull away, and they get a win, and they win the championship of Ohio. Not Ohio State, not Cincinnati, but the championship of Ohio. Not the Bearcats, but the Bengals. But give the Browns praise with a big win. Also, the Panthers edge rusher Haason Reddick said that Mac Jones was guilty of a dirty play against Carolina edge rusher. That Brian Burns on Sunday called the NFL to take action against the Patriots rookie quarterback. And yeah, it was a bush league play. It looked like he was trying to trip Nick Burns, and then the next thing you know, he was tugging on Burns' ankle. But, you know, he's a quarterback. You got to be careful when you do a dirty play against defensive players because you got 11 guys looking at you next time. They're all fair and level war. Chandler Jones become the Cardinals, sack leader. Talking to him at the end of the game in the locker room. Chandler Jones took down his former teammate, 49er quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, on Sunday to become the Arizona Cardinals all-time sack leader since stats became official in 1982. He wrapped up Garoppolo late in the second quarter for his 67th sack of the franchise, and that's tied with the late Freddie Joe Nunn, 66.5. And you got to give him some. I mean, that guy was doing his thing. I think he had 3 sacks on the day. Give him some praise, even though he did it on the road. Give him praise. It's hard to get sacked. And now he's an all-time sack leader for the Cardinals. It's all fair and level war. The Raiders are adding Deshaun Jackson. They could have used him because they had a bad loss. And he could have been someone to stress the defense too. But the Raiders lost 23-16 at the New York Giants. Snapping a 2-game win streak. And just too many turnovers. You can't turn the ball over, let alone against the Giants, which are not a good team. But the Giants have played Kansas City close the prior week, and now they beat the Raiders. Two AFC West teams that are picked to challenge for the AFC Championship. So give them some praise. Are you ready for the football? The Buffalo Bills and Jacksonville Jaguars, sponsored by the Big C Burger, is a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all those exotic meats. The Jacksonville Jaguars? You believe that? A week after shocking NFL stories off the field, the league's number 9 action featured its own share of surprises, and the Jacksonville Jaguars with a 9-6 win over the Buffalo Bills. I mean, can you believe that? No one saw that coming. It's as if all the point spreaders in Las Vegas were all choking off their own spit. If that makes sense, yeah. That's why I don't bet. Football's a tough enough sport as it is, but guys that go in there and bet, you're not always going to keep your money. It's all friend level war. But that's pretty much what I wanted to cover on NFL football. It's a great game. Everybody loves NFL football. I appreciate all the teams that won. Give all the teams that went on the road and won. Give them praise. Even the teams that played at home and won. Give them all praise, praise, praise. Love NFL football. Are you ready for the football? Of course you are. Tonight's action already underway. The mighty Pittsburgh Steelers. You got a feeling the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl? A lot of people say, we got to feel it. The Steelers are going to the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl. But the game's already underway. Chicago 3-5 at Pittsburgh 4-3. It's kicked off at 8:15 p.m. East Coast time on Monday night on NBC Sports. Now, when you think about it, the Steelers, they're a 6.5-point favorite in this game, and they probably should be because they're a solid football team. The crowd will be nuts. Game's already underway. But quarterback Justin Fields, he's athletic. Can he continue to grow as a passer? He's going to have to. The Bears cannot afford to put him in third and long, so they got to have a short passing game so they can complete more passes, a higher pass percentage. And then they also use his legs. Let him run the ball and try to pick up first downs for that Bears offense against that physical Steelers defense. Steelers rarely score over 20 points. But this Mike Tomlin team, they're 4-3. They're about to go to 5-3 tonight with a win, unless they fall upset. You didn't want them to be upset, like a lot of the teams favored to win this weekend. The key for the Steelers, keeping Big Ben Roethlisberger in third and short. So Najee Harris has to establish that run game for the Steelers. Pittsburgh will need to sort out who's going to be kicking after Craig Boswell's end of the week and the concussion protocol. Pittsburgh has found balance on offense, and they got to figure a way to run the ball with Najee Harris in order to keep Big Ben healthy and keep him from trying to have to throw the ball 40 times in a game. You know that Chicago has a strong pass rush. Defensively, the Steelers need to keep doing what they did and have done all year in the games that they won. Run the ball, short passing game. And they play solid defense, we know that. They play smart, they have gap assignment, football. They just got to put a lot of pressure on Fields. Get them in the third down and long. If you can do that, the Steelers have a chance to actually cover in this game. But a lot of people had a hard time covering this weekend. It's really going to be up to the Steelers playing good defense at home, and I think that will help them figure things out down the stretch. It's all fair and level work, so give NFL football some praise. Give it praise, praise, praise. I love NFL football. We're going to take what's called the Big C Falls, also known as the Big C Timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about some NBA basketball in the words of the former California Governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C Falls, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, on 17 podcast applications all over the universe. Really appreciate that. And 4 TV applications that follow on Big C Sports Podcast. Tonight is a beautiful tonight, Monday, November 8th, 2021. There are only 8 NBA basketball games on slate tonight. Monday's NBA action. Most games tip off about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The New York Knicks and the Joel Embiid is out because of COVID protocol. And so that's going to affect the Philadelphia 76ers playing really good basketball this year under Doc Rivers. But they are playing the New York Knicks at Philadelphia 76ers. They're going at it as we talk right now. The slate includes a big game in Chicago between the Brooklyn Nets and the Chicago Bulls. What a series. The Bulls are starting to play some really good basketball this year. Meanwhile, late evening action includes the Atlanta Hawks and the Golden State Warriors. tipping off in beautiful Chase Center in San Francisco, California. And also in the Sacramento Kings, they are taking on the Phoenix Suns, defending Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns in beautiful Northern California. Hopefully it doesn't rain. I hope the rain doesn't come. I hate rain. Maybe a lot of people say, get together and hope that rain doesn't happen. All fair level war. But tonight's NBA schedule, the Knicks at the 76ers, 7 p.m. tip-off East Coast time. You can see it on NBC Sports in Philadelphia and also MSG Network. You have the Brooklyn Nets at the Chicago Bulls that tipped off at 8 p.m. East Coast time on NBA TV, NBC Sports Chicago, and also the Yes Package. And the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Memphis Grizzlies, that's at 8 p.m. tip-off. You can watch that on Bally Sports Southeast and Bally Sports North. The New Orleans Pelicans, an 8:30 p.m. tip-off at the Dallas Mavericks on Bally Sports Southwest as well as Bally Sports New Orleans. How about the Miami Heat? The Heat at the Denver Nuggets, 9 o'clock p.m. tip-off East Coast time on Altitude and Bally Sports Sun. All's fair in love and war. You know, you can't watch the Denver Nuggets on Comcast in Denver unless they got that figured out. That's a shame. Such a good team can't even figure out the network with Comcast in the Denver area with the Denver Nuggets. The Atlanta Hawks, 10 p.m. tip-off at Chase Center, Northern California. You can see that on NBC Sports Bay Area and Bally Sports Southeast. The Sacramento Kings are hosting the Phoenix Suns, defending Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns. That's a 10 p.m. tip-off East Coast time, 7 p.m. on the West Coast on NBC Sports California and Bally Sports Arizona. And then the rumblings down in Los Angeles, I guess Anthony Davis had an upset tummy. I told him he should have eaten the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meats, but I guess he didn't listen. The Charlotte Hornets at the Los Angeles Lakers tip off at 10:30 p.m. East Coast time on Spectrum Sportsnet and Bally Sports Southeast. So give the NBA basketball some praise. Give it praise. A lot of things happening in the world of sports, but the Lakers haven't been having the best of things. LeBron James still trying to figure out what's going on with LeBron James. I guess he's resting his ankle. But here's a guy that spends a lot of money making sure he stays healthy, and for some reason it seems to always be, something going on. Maybe people call it cynically. Some people say that it's just about the player management, how they manage saying, hey, something's wrong with me. I doubt that. I think LeBron James is as consistent as anybody in wanting to give the fans what they showed up for. I want to just touch on a few more things in NFL before we close out today on beautiful Big C Sports on a beautiful November the 8th, 2021. You got judging Week 9 NFL overreactions. The Browns are better without Odell Beckham Jr. Maybe they are. With a big win over the Cincinnati Bengals, the battle for Ohio, they prove, I'm not saying Odell Beckham's not a great player, but I learned a lot just following Jerry Rice over the years as he came out of Mississippi Valley State and seeing him play with the 49ers for many years. He's a leading receiver, touchdown reception leader in the history of the NFL. And I always remember seeing Jerry Rice when he wasn't catching the pass, he was blocking. Odell Beckham Jr. has to pick that attitude up. I mean, if the best receiver in the history of the NFL, if he wasn't receiving a pass, he was actually blocking, give that some praise. Maybe that's something a lot of players can learn from. Jerry Rice still sprinting 100 yards in the end zone for the 49ers to get the crowd riled up against Arizona Cardinals. All fair and level war. And then you think about other things going on in the NFL. It's a tough business. Denver Broncos cornerback Pat Surtain, the second has knee sprain and could return after the bye week, so that's good. It's a tough business. The Chicago Bears activate running back David Montgomery off for injured reserve before the game tonight versus Pittsburgh. They need that. But some bad news that came out of San Francisco, if it wasn't enough, man, San Francisco 49ers right tackle Mike McGlinchey, he's out for the season with a torn quadricep. Football's a tough business. I hate when guys get injured because now, their team is already needing some help, but now you have another injury. It happens to the best of them, but that's tough for the 49ers to deal with. Also, some tests for Arizona confirmed that the Cardinals running back Chase Edmonds has a high ankle sprain and expected to miss multiple games, and that's obviously not a good thing for the Cardinals. They are already dealing with Kyler Murray and his issues. I got to pick up one more story about the West Coast. Las Vegas Raiders, they cut 2020 first-round cornerback. He was a first-round draft pick, cornerback Damon Arnett, after video showed that he was death threats. Come on, guys. What in the world's going on with players? Especially, I mean, come on. You got to issue death threats? You don't know that people got cameras? It doesn't make any sense. Maybe bravado, whatever it is. All fair and love and war. And then again, I talked about it earlier, Patriots quarterback Mac Jones said he wasn't trying to injure the Panthers, Brian Burns. He was just trying to make a tackle. A lot of people don't really believe in that. It's all fair and love and war. I'm going to end with some good news. Good news, the Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson, he was cleared to play because his finger, he gave them the finger and said, I'm out of here. I'm going to give all y'all the finger and I'm going to play. So give him praise. He's going to be able to play. You can follow Big T Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 17 podcast applications on the #1 podcast network in the universe. There's actually 17 podcast applications on. As they always say, back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. And he would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you rumble, young men rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? You float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee. He said, with all those exotic meats, I can't possibly be beat. That made me a lot of my feet. That's why I eat so many big cheeseburgers and bites of my feet. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help. Because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. As we always tell you, on every Big T Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.